welcome to the Diablo podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com, and this is a service of IncGamers.com. I am the host, Flux, and I am joined by Ellie Davis.
Hi.
This is our weekly news attack show that we do every week and attack the news in. We're winning so far, I think. It's a war of attrition, but there's always more news.
Especially
and we've
this
got,
week.
as has been the case for the last several weeks, we are not exactly hurting for topics. We're going to touch on the really cool new Skill movies and something about the Jay Wilson Gamescom interviews, which all give me a bit of a deja vu feeling, if you know what I mean. We're also going to touch on the Inferno vote and a little bit on the final system being revealed for Diablo 3, and then a little thing about the Diableards, and a couple of cool little site update stuff. Oh, and is Max Schaefer a troll or not? All that coming up on this episode of
News Attack.
Exactly.
I couldn't think what it was called. I forgot.
Diablo podcast.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, no, there's another name somewhere. There's a sub-name. I couldn't think of it.
Oh, well, it's not going to be a domain name or anything. At diablopodcast.com.
Come.
Okay, first topic. New Skill movies. Mysteriously leaked by Blizzard in some way. We're not sure if it went up on if it was accidentally uploaded to their website and not actually linked to yet or what. But they're very cool. About 1 minute from each of the 5 classes and showing off a whole bunch of skills and a lot of really cool runestone effects we had to kind of guess at in some cases. And we have, it got 60 comments in about 30 minutes, 90% of which saying, this is so awesome, want.
I think they must have been, I don't know if it was, I don't think it was Blizzard, it was just some chap, but there was no sound to them, so I think he was just mooching around when the new site went up yesterday. Through luck or skill, came across them, but as soon as I saw them, because I saw the Barbarian one first, I thought, well, that's got to be a fake when he changed into the Berserker form or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But then watching them, I thought, no, these are real.
Yeah, I saw someone else suggest that perhaps it was a leak via YouTube. Blizzard has their YouTube channels, and maybe they accidentally uploaded them in some, some functional, work in progress form, and then immediately removed them, but somebody saw it before it went down, or who knows? But they have not released them officially yet. That was, it was only 20 hours ago or something. It wasn't even a full day ago yet.
And they're still up on YouTube, and they're usually pretty quick at getting stuff they don't want released taken off.
Yeah, so we're assuming we'll get the full quality versions with sound, and they'll have some other sort of presentation to go with it in the immediate future.
What one were your favourite?
All of them.
All of them.
Like Pokemon's. It's curious. I think the Witch Doctor was actually pretty cool, just because he usually doesn't get that much love, and his spells haven't seemed that inventive in some ways. They've kind of been cool, but they haven't been. It's hard to envision what the runestone effects will do. This one just starts off with, the Witch Doctor casts this thing, and these headstones appear like in a cemetery, and there's hundreds of grasping zombie, forearms lunging out of the ground like the director's cut of Michael Jackson's Thriller video.
But I liked Haunt. I thought,
yeah, I like that one.
The blue swirly ball. I thought that was nice. And Firebomb.
What were they? The swirly things.
Don't know. Just
exactly.
things.
I said they were what? Fetal porpoise skeletons or something like that. I don't know. They kind of swim around.
Yeah, that's a nice one. But Firebomb, I thought, was with the runes in that makes it bounce. I thought that was a pretty impressive one as well.
Yeah, we'd seen that before, though. That was actually one of the very first skill runes they ever showed, was the fire bounce bomb.
This gives you the angle, though. From this angle, it gave you a really good view of it, because you're sort of just slightly up from the character.
Yeah, I was a fan of the zombie Nova as well, as I called it, where he casts like 6 zombies that run out in all directions from him.
The ones that then sort of break down into skeletons.
Yeah, they rot away before your very eyes.
Yeah.
Obviously people should go watch them if they've somehow not seen them yet. You will have no problem finding your own favorites.
The only one I'm not sure about is 2, actually. It was the Strafe from the Demon Hunter, the one that looked like a machine gun.
It was a machine gun.
Yeah, I didn't really like that one
very
so much. But the Demon Hunter overall was my favourite set of animations, and I'm still not convinced about the big bell of the monk.
Yeah.
big bell. I'm just not sure about that yet.
Well, I always want a gordita whenever I see that, so that's one thing it works out well as.
I don't even know what that is. What is it?
It's to the Taco Bell reference,
All right.
like the old days of Taco Bell. They have this horrible Mexican food at Taco Bell where it's just the Americanized versions of stuff. They just make up things.
All right.
Sure, American listeners thought that was hilarious though. So
Okay. I'm sure they're guffawing right
how
now.
could they not? And they're probably laughing as well. But
Yeah. I think it's fitting for the monk because it's sort of like it's like the Buddhist temples, isn't it? Like Borobudur in Java. I
yeah,
always
the concept works. It just seems sort of weird to see this. I mean, it's logical, like you say, but just where does this thing come from? It's like I
Yeah.
guess we can kind of accept like waves of light and fireballs and lightning bolts and stuff, but when you suddenly just appear 1,000-pound, 8-foot tall brass bell, it's like okay.
But I do like the monk animations. I think they're understated. But I think a lot of people are saying that the monk was the least impressive of all the 5 videos. But I think you expect him to be less showy in the effects. But his movements are more showy, aren't they? Because of the 7-sided strike and all the kung fu chops and that.
Yeah, I thought understated is not a word we'll often hear in regards to Diablo 3's graphics.
I
It's
don't
nice
think
that
you.
you got to use that one.
But I don't think you can go over the top like you do with, say, the wizard or even the barbarian with the monk, because I just think it would be too much with the monk character.
I think part of it is that his combos are so quick hitting. Especially, it's also because we don't have any monsters in these videos. They're just on the black background. So like he does, he demonstrates exploding palm in that video, which is 3 really quick hits with a little flash at the end of the third one, which looks like very little. But of course, in the game, exploding palm was like the most visually impressive skill in the 2009 BlizzCon demo, because it puts that heart over their heads, and when the monster dies, they explode in this giant blast of blood,
Yeah,
which we don't see in this video. And I think in the game, you'll be like, ooh.
just like that. Yeah.
Or like the monks, he has 4 auras, which are now called mantras, and they didn't show any of those in the video because he would cast it and a little thing would swirl around his feet. That's not real. It's not real impressive in the video, but obviously in the game, it'll make all the monsters have a debuff over them, or it'll make all your friends have a speed increase or something, which will be visually impressive and also very functional, but it wouldn't show up very well just in this particular type of video.
When Blizzard release them, they'll release them with the sounds, and perhaps a monk won't fare so badly. I mean, a lot of people like them, but any comments I saw from people saying what they didn't like, it was probably the monk, and probably the favourite one seemed to be the demon hunters.
Yeah, I was surprised how many demon hunter people were saying I hadn't thought about playing one.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I don't know. I guess the big explosions and the super fast strafe was a popular one, or maybe they just like the purple Tyrael wings. Okay, next topic. Moving on. Another thing that's been in the news a lot for the past week, and I mean a lot, is Jay Wilson Gamescom interviews. He's been interviewed by many, many media outlets, European and American, and probably others as well, from Gamescom, and all of them have covered the exact same topics, it seems like.
He looks like he's been on the road for a couple of months now. He looks like he's had enough, I think.
Yeah, that was the other topic. Every post, people are like, what's up with Jay's hair? He looks like he's going to have a nervous breakdown. Of course,
Yeah.
maybe he flew over to Germany, the night before, and he was still jet-lagged or something. But yeah, he looked a little ragged. He looked a little worn down. But don't we want the Diablo 3 game director to look ragged and worn down as they're rushing towards the beta?
Yeah, we want him to look as if he's pulling all-nighters and working really hard on getting the game out. And he does, so
He does, yes.
so we're happy.
Achievement achieved. Challenge accepted. Yes. It's pretty clear that either Jay rehearsed some topics in advance, or else he's just sort of evolved, during. If he's asked the same questions 10 times a day, obviously he's going to, kind of gravitate towards the same responses. And every topic he talks about Inferno a little bit, and a little bit about the new BattleNet stuff. And the one that has caused most of the controversy, of course, is the real money auction house. And as you've seen, Jay's many times said that his version of it is that their feedback was better than they expected. It was about 2/3 positive, and that the 1/3 who didn't like it either didn't understand it or just wasn't misinformed about what it was. People seem to not be entirely pleased by his assertion of those numbers and those reasons.
I'm not sure if he's confusing that with just a general reaction to an auction house as a concept rather than the real money part of it, because certainly our own surveys, which isn't exhaustive, but it's a good number of people. Didn't seem to bear that out.
Well, personally, I think our surveys are the best available because they've had many thousands of voters and it's anonymous. You can't really judge just by forum comments or post comments because you're going to get a vocal minority. I mean, that's the definition of a forum comment.
Yeah.
Whereas, you're not, we've had some really busy forum threads with a few hundred replies, but that's a lot less than 7,000. And, if you look at it in the most optimistic way, I think our last vote was something like 61% approved of the auction house. But that's including people who say, I don't like real money trading in general, but I'm making an exception for Diablo 3 because it's not the developer selling it, it's just other characters selling it.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure where he got those figures out, but he has said that in quite a few of the Gamescom's interviews, so he's obviously got it from somewhere.
And what people are, what drives most of the comments is then people are like, why is Jay Wilson giving us this PR spin? Why is he saying that if we don't like it, it's because we don't understand it? We can understand it perfectly well and still think it's bullshit and not like that there's real money in the game. I mean, people have ethical objections to this that don't really, you can't rationalize them away by saying, well, people did it anyway, I mean, yes, people did do it anyway, and they probably would have done it anyway in Diablo 3, but obviously to a much lesser extent than if Blizzard enables it themselves. Just a slight change of topic on that. I have not heard this, but what do you suppose the Diablo 2 item sales sites are saying right now? Given that Blizzard's basically saying, we're going to allow this in Diablo 3 because everyone did it in Diablo 2 anyway. Shouldn't they be pushing and saying, well, legalize it then? Why are you banning us for doing this if you're going to allow it in the next game and you don't seem to object to it?
I think they're still going to exist because people will be able to bypass the fees for placing and the fee, whether it's flat or a percentage of the sale figure.
And of course, hardcore.
Yeah, of course.
But imagine that you'd gotten your account banned a year ago from Diablo 2 for buying an illegal item or selling an illegal item in the game. I mean, I don't think they even do this. They haven't really had much of customer support in Diablo 2 for 7 years. But imagine if you had, and then every interview Jay Wilson says, well, everybody does it anyway, so now we're going to support it. It's like, well, why am I banned for something that you're basically saying is fine? Or why am I banned for something that's driving the major feature of the next game?
Because D2 wasn't developed to support this.
True, but it seems, you could certainly, if you're being punished for doing something that they're saying is everyone does it anyway, it kind of takes them off their moral high ground of saying why we banned you for doing this.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think Diablo 2's a done deal now, so the slate's clean, isn't it, as far as D3's concerned? And we have to assume that the whole game has been developed, supporting a real money economy.
True, it has. I think one other sort of counterpoint that actually works to Blizzard's advantage somewhat, though they've never actually said this that I can recall hearing, but is saying, okay, we need some sort of microtransactions or ongoing income from this game. We're not going to support it for 10 years for free like Diablo 2. What would you have had us do besides real money trading, taking a cut of that sale? Do you want monthly fees? Do you want microtransactions? Do you want a real cash shop? I mean, it seems like this is one of the least pernicious of the possible alternatives.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I don't actually see much of a problem with it, really. Do you?
I don't plan on using it, although I can certainly envision selling something. I'm hoping to play mostly hardcore, so it won't be an option. But I don't see myself buying things, even though I'm fairly short on time of playing games, at least compared to how I was in the Diablo 2 days. But I can definitely see the argument that some people make that the game is an escape from real life, and they don't want external stimuli or external features to come in and interrupt the play. And they don't want to think. They don't want the opportunity to buy items. They don't want their friends to be buying items. They don't want to think when they find a great drop, can I use this or do I want to sell it for $50? They just want to divorce the game experience from. In your whole real life, you have to think about money all the time. At least most of us. You're judging things, or if you can afford X or Y, or what you're going to do. And when you're in this game, you want to relax and get away from all that and just exist in the game world. It's a done deal, so it's academic to discuss it at this point, I think. But
I do understand that, but that's not Diablo 3 any longer. That was Diablo 2. Well, supposed to be. It wasn't for some people, obviously, who did buy items, but as far as Blizzard was concerned, that was it. It was divorced from the real world. But Diablo 3 isn't really, and that's the game that's on offer. And we either embrace that and enjoy what it has to offer, or we go and play Diablo 2.
It's weird because we get this mixed batch of criticism where what you just said, a lot of people say, X wasn't this way in Diablo 2, skill points and custom attribution, putting your own points in your attributes however you want, all this kind of stuff. But then at the same time, we always get the argument that it's not Diablo 2 with 3D graphics. It's a whole new game. There's a whole lot of whole new systems.
Yeah.
So it's like people kind of use the argument in both directions at the same time. If it's convenient to say this should have been in Diablo 2, then they'll say it. And if it's convenient to say, well, this is a new game, then they'll say that. I think that we should mostly try to debate features on their own merit. Or you can certainly debate stuff by what the developers said, a year ago or 2 years ago.
It's like offline single player, wasn't it? I read that quote today that Bashiot said just October last year that there was an offline single player. So only as recently as, well, between now and then, did they decide that there wasn't going to be one.
Yeah, and then all their objections to it are in Diablo 2 terms. People made characters and couldn't play them online or whatever, which isn't true because you had open BattleNet. But, I mean, let me just restate. Blizzard's stated reason for not having offline single player is primarily that people made characters that way in Diablo 2 and then couldn't play them on closed BattleNet. But that's a critique of how Diablo 2 handled single players. That's not a reason not to have single players. Blizzard could certainly say, we can make a much better system for this in Diablo 3 that no one will ever confuse offline single players with online multiplayers. And that's not what they did. Instead, they just removed it entirely.
I think that's possibly why there's been a mixed bag of reactions to the various interviews that have appeared over the weeks, the days since Gamescom's finished. They're cherry picking when they compare to something that was done in D2 to when they say this is a completely new game. You shouldn't talk about it in relation to Diablo 2 because this is Diablo 3. So I think there's these different angles that they're answering questions from, and that's what's causing people to start going, do you know what? The more I see these interviews, the more I'm getting wound up.
Exactly. Good summation. Next topic.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Achievement Elly. Bing! Something that we have had a lot of agreement on, more than almost any other topic ever, is the Inferno difficulty level. We talked about that a bit last week, and I did a whole podcast on that with two of our other guests, with Eliminator and Nineball last weekend, which you can find on DiabloPodcast.com. And anyway, we ran a vote about Inferno difficulty level, and number one is 50%. I love it, and option two is I like it. But I want a little more, and that's like 41%. So we're around 90% on like or love, and only 2% said they hate it, which I'm not sure what we couldn't have a vote on chocolate that would have that kind of turnout,
Yeah, that's the most unanimous vote we've ever had. So that I think Blizzard should take heart from that even their first concept that they've publicly released on Inferno has been completely embraced.
And that's even with the Inferno level gear sets looking like Transformers. So that's the only thing people have complained about is how over the top the outfits are.
But everything else is just thumbs up all round. It's really good.
At least based on the conceptual information. Well, we'll obviously see how the details play out over time.
Yeah. But everything is like that. All the details, the systems that the features, what do they call them? Systems? Yeah, systems that they tell us about. It's all, it's on hearsay in the small amount of game time we've had. And that one has received the best reception of anything, I think.
Which is kind of surprising, given that they're saying the whole point of Inferno is to eliminate item runs as an easily exploitable way for gaining riches and wealth, which is what essentially everyone does in the Diablo 2 endgame. So pretty much every voter is saying, I did this in Diablo 2, but I'm glad there's going to be something different in Diablo 3, which is kind of an interesting indictment of the Diablo 2 system.
What's the deal with the level 61 monsters? Because this one's been going backwards and forwards in the news. Are they all level 61? Do they begin at level 61? Or what?
They've said they're all at least 61, and then a few times they've said they'll start at 61, implying they're going to increase a little bit. And other times they've said they're all 61. So it seems unclear. I mean, I think they're saying that they'll all be at least 61 and that they won't increase much because they want the whole difficulty level to be largely flat.
Right. Yeah, because
So
even if they're all level 61, it's very different. It's obviously going to be harder fighting a teleporting mage than it is a lumbering zombie that you could just sort of walk away from.
yeah, well, we don't really know even what monster level means. I mean, that's almost a
No.
meaningless term at this point. We know what that means in Diablo 2 terms for what, it affects what kind of items they can drop and what kind of modifiers they can have and all kinds of stuff. And what level they're in is what area they're in, etc. But we don't know anything about how Diablo 3's treasure classes or item tables work.
Mm.
So, and plus you're not getting any experience in Inferno, at least, probably not. Almost certainly you will be 60 by the time you get there. And great deal of what monster level does in Diablo 2 is determines the kind of experience you get, because that compares to your character level, and if you're too high a level, then you don't get any experience from that kind of monster. But that's off the table entirely in Inferno. So Inferno is purely about item drops, and we don't have any information yet, any detailed information about how that's
Mm.
determined.
Yeah, interesting. On going back to the vote, it's got 3% of people said that they don't know and or they don't care. Do you think they're people that aren't planning on playing in the end game, or they really just don't give a fuss about it at all?
I think they probably just clicked the website link by accident, and they were trying to get to, funny cat videos, and they see something, ooh, like shiny, I can click on this. Who knows? Somebody asked that in comments. Why do you have, no opinion as an option? In concept, if we put up a vote and 40% of people say don't care, obviously that's not a real crucial issue to the Diablo community. So
No.
yeah, I thought number two would definitely win. I like it, but I want more features or more options. I'm really surprised that literally half the voters have said what they've said is great, and I want it now.
Mm. It's funny because number two is what they said they are going to do. This is just the beginning of it. We're going to expand it and
Certainly they'll add more to it, and
yeah.
they'll rework the balancing. But I'm not expecting them to do any major additions until probably the expansion in terms
Mm.
of whole new level. I mean, obviously there'll be a whole new level in the expansion. There'll be a whole new act, but I don't think they're going to put in, tower defenses or King of the Hill or any of these kind of game concepts people have been suggesting until, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll patch all that in. It'll be a whole new
Yeah.
world. I'm not counting on it though.
Ever the optimist, Flux.
Always. Speaking of systems, we had a brief forum post by Bashiak where someone asked, have we seen all the system reveals? And he said yes. All systems have been revealed, and we're probably not going to be showing you anything else major before the game launches.
Ah, but he
Were you,
did
were you
say
surprised by that? Was there anything else you were hoping for?
guilds probably some revelation about guild support at long last after 10 years. Are we going to get it? No, actually, it's
No,
longer than 10
no,
years.
no, we're not.
No, no.
Yeah, they haven't even really mentioned guilds. I mean, there've been a few questions about it, like years ago at BlizzCon. They said, yeah, we'd like to do that, but we're not sure. But obviously, I think that with all the BattleNet features we've seen, the friends list and the cross-game chat and all these kind of
Yeah.
things, they're just making lots of really easy ways for pugs to work, for pickup games kind of work, or groups to work.
I wouldn't be surprised if guild support is off the table now, actually.
Yeah, I don't think they've envisioned Diablo 3 as a real guild. It's not World of Warcraft. You don't need to raid. You don't need 10
Mm,
people to do levels. You can do it with just friends. There's friends lists. You can do it with public people pretty easily. And characters
yeah,
aren't really there's not healers and other sort of dependent characters classes in the
yeah.
game.
But he did say he used his words quite well. He said, "I think we're all set." And there's that
Yeah,
word "think," isn't it?
that's not something a Blizzard PR person should ever do.
It's not so definite that, is it really? It's kind of, well, I did think we were, but I was mistaken. We're
Well,
not
this is
set.
this is Blizzard, Ellie.
Mm,
They
I
never
know.
say anything definitely. They've learned from the past. Always leave opportunities for changing of opinions.
I think that's as definite as we're going to get, though. I think we're all set.
The only other system that I thought we might hear about, I mean, we all knew there was going to be some kind of an in-game system, and that was what they announced with the Inferno at Gamescom. But I was thinking that we might get some sort of discussion of how like act bosses will work. They've talked about these multi-stage, multi-tier battles where you'll do, there'll be lots of them. Just they'll be much bigger and more involved than they were in past games. And all we've seen thus far is the Skeleton King, who's far from an act boss. But while you're fighting him, he continues to summon up more skeletons, and he moves around and he teleports. And even he sounds like he'll be more of an involved battle than any of the Diablo 2
Mm,
act bosses or any other bosses were. And so I thought maybe they would give us some hints about the full game. Then obviously they're not going to reveal, which act boss is which and show us pictures and stuff. They're being very close to the vest on that.
I don't really want to see any of that stuff. That would be like seeing Diablo.
Well, they've you mean aside from in every cinematic and in every piece of art and in every sidewalk drawing?
Yeah, no, but we don't know that's how he's not going to appear like that from his sidewalk painting, that's for sure, with those skinny little arms. No, I don't think we've seen. Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously he's in that cinematic, isn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, like just today, I just posted the Murloco, the Mercablo, the,
Well,
the the virtual pet.
he ain't going to look like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, in every piece of artwork, you see this glowing Diablo skull in the background with his big red skin and his horns and his yellow eyes. I'm assuming that we will at least recognize that thing as the monster in the game.
Well, I think yeah. That. I mean, it's like the Diablo One head. I mean, it wasn't what he looked like in the game, and that's what I mean. We've seen him in cinematics. We've seen him a graphical sort of interpretation of him, but I'm talking about actually seeing like you'd see the monsters that we've seen in gameplay. I would not want to see Diablo in the game environment or any of the bosses actually.
Yeah,
Now,
we have no idea how big they'll be or how they'll move or
yeah,
anything.
even though we run a fan site, and that kind of information's excellent for conversation and what have you, and excitement amongst the other fans. I'd rather forfeit that and wait for it to come to see it in the game.
Really,
Just,
would you spoil yourself? I mean, if today somebody sent us an email and it said, "Here's a picture of Diablo from the game, top secret," you would look.
oh yeah,
Your little sticky sausage fingers would be all over that.
I'd probably hesitate for about 10 seconds just for appearance's sake, and then I'd click it.
Appearance, turn it, what, appearance to who?
Then I would accidentally click it and look through my fingers. Oh, whoops.
Oh, Butterfingers, here it is. I would look in 1 second, and then I would decide how to post it with a big spoiler warning, just to tease people.
Oh God.
I'd post a pixel a day for a month.
Yeah.
Come back tomorrow. Two more. Oh, it's a nose. It's a nose. No, it's not. It's an ear. But yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Mm.
I still remember with Diablo 2, I got the game the first day, and then pretty much raced through it just to get screenshots of we'd never seen the act bosses for Act 2 or 3 or 4 before. Andariel was in the beta, and I remember posting screenshots and thumbnails of Duriel and Mephisto and Diablo, and people who hadn't gotten the game yet. People in Europe, it wasn't being released for a couple of days, as I recall. Or just hadn't had a chance to play through it all yet. I played through it all in like one day, like a 16-hour session or something. People were like, "Put up some spoilers. I don't want to see screenshots." So I think it'll be even more so in Diablo 3.
I was so excited the first time that I met Diablo in Diablo 1. I was playing with a friend on a LAN. Imagine. But I still remember the night. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and we were playing, and we had people behind us watching us, and we'd been playing all weekend, and we had, right, you pull this lever, I go here, and you go here, and then we'll do this, and then so go, okay, right, go. And he pulls the lever, and then we're running around going, there's nothing going on. And then we hear him go, "Rah!" And then we just both sort of leg it in different directions, and the whole plan and everything just goes completely out the window, and obviously we just die straight away. But I still remember it. It was a good moment in gaming history for me. But at the time, it was exciting. That's quite
What do you
sad.
expect him to look like in Diablo 3? Just big?
Bigger and more elaborate. And I'm absolutely positive that even years later now, and being quite a little bit older, I still reckon I will be able to feel my heart in my chest, like I did when Diablo came out in Diablo 1.
What's up with the mouths on his shoulders? Any thought on that?
Maybe they're mouths of souls grasping that he's consumed.
Another mouth to feed.
Yeah, something like that.
Speaking of weird things on the side of your face, our next topic is Blizzard is running this Diablo Grow a Beard contest feature sort of thing. They're calling it the Diableard.
Diableard, yeah.
Diableard. I'm generally a big fan of portmanteau. I love to make up new words, but this one doesn't work. I'm sorry. In my expert opinion, Diableard.
They probably should have dropped the L.
Diabbeard.
Diabbeard. No,
Beard.
it's all really bad.
How about Beardablo?
Beard
No.
blow. Beard blow? No, that sounds kind of rude, doesn't it?
Yes. Anyway, they're running this. It's not really a promotion because you don't win anything. It's a promotion for them, I guess. You get to do. It's funny because they're giving away beta tickets for the best people in the Taiwanese Diablo 3 website. But in America, we just get to have our picture on Blizzard.com with a
But
really ugly thing on your face.
see, they're looking for, good bushy beard, not a 5 o'clock shadow or stubble. So does that give us any indication of how long the beta's away? Because I mean, how long does it take? I don't know, obviously. How long does it take for a bloke to grow a beard of any standard, really?
I think it depends widely upon the person. I mean, they had a Twitter post that Bashiak has already started his, and it's wispy and pathetic, is basically what they said. So some men have very fast facial hair. I mean, if I don't shave for a week, I'm really scruffy. It looks really gross, and my facial hair is much redder than the rest of my hair on my head. If I go a week, I look like I really need. I look like I'm homeless, and like I just came out of a bus station. I've been sleeping in at night, so it varies between individuals, obviously.
So you don't think we should take anything from this as regards the beta start date then, if they're not giving people enough time to grow a impressive beard?
Well, the deadline for entries is September 16th in Taiwan, and you're winning a beta spot. So some people are taking that to mean the beta won't start until after September 16th, which I think is a safe bet.
Yes.
I'd bet my beard on that, so to speak. But
are you going to join in? Are you going to have a go?
It's funny. I moved to Portland, Oregon about 3 months ago, and one of the first things I noticed is that this is where bad facial hair appears to go to die. I saw more soul patches and scruffy goatees here in my first few weeks than I had seen in the last 5 years in California, in the Bay Area. And I'd always thought that Californians were very casual attired, casual dressing. That it's even more so here. I mean, the general uniform of the male in Portland is cargo shorts, flip-flops, and/or ripped jeans. If you have buttons on your shirt in Portland, you are going to a wedding or a funeral.
You're overdressed, right?
If you're wearing nice slacks as well, you are a participant in the wedding or the funeral. And in in both of those, you didn't dress yourself. So it's kind of an option. But the funny part is I've been way too busy to get back into doing any dating, single life, real life thing, if you can imagine, leaving the house. Horrifying, I know. And I'm just envisioning, I meet some nice, attractive female from the greater Portland area, on our first little coffee bar date or whatever. And, she looks over at me and, I have these photos on my website profile. It's, I'm all clean shaven and, dapper and everything. And then I show up in real life with this, this caterpillar across my face. And I could see her saying, okay, most guys in Portland don't shave. It's not so bad. And then she asked me, why am I growing a beard? And I say, I'm doing it in solidarity for a cause. And she says, oh, like world peace or something? And I say, no, it's a Diableard. It's because I'm really eager for the video game to be released. What would your reaction be on a first date if you were with a man who said he was growing a beard because of a video game?
Check, please.
I think that about sums it up. So more in a nutshell, that I know I'm not growing a Diableard. At least I'm not planning on it. Alas, you'll have to do without my photo. Yeah, how about we have my readers to do this? I like that idea better. You guys we'll put up a thread on the forum or something and stick it, and you can post your own facial feature.
Yeah, and we can have our own little vote of who of the IncGamers community has the most awesome beard.
Yeah, and the Blizzard page has pictures of a number of their developers who they've said have already grown beards.
They probably had beards already. That's cheating. You've got to start from
they've
today.
been growing them during development. They've been growing beards, but they have two pictures of women. They're holding up like fake elf beards from like World of Warcraft, models of dwarves or something. So it's kind of you can post a picture of yourself holding a plant in front of your face or something and say, yeah, it's a green beard. I'm an int. Whatever. It's not. Do they have ints in World of Warcraft? What are their trees called?
Treants or treants.
Original name there, Blizzard. Good work, guys. Yeah. Anyway, that's the beard thing. One other thing from Gamescom is Max Schaefer a troll? I should clarify, we like Max. He's a lot of fun. We love talking to him, and I really enjoy when he makes these controversial comments. But is he trolling Diablo 3 for publicity for Torchlight 2?
I think he's a bit of a naughty tinker sometimes in what he says. He knows he stirs it up.
Well, he likes to.
Yeah, he does.
He enjoys the good argument. But he's been on a number of interviews from Gamescom. Torchlight was there, I think, on some playable machines. I mean, Rush wrote a report about playing it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like they had a big booth. They didn't reveal any new information. They're doing that at the Penny Arcade Expo this weekend, I guess. So they were just briefly there. So they didn't have really much to command publicity with Torchlight without any new features. So it seems like maybe, obviously people asking these questions, because Max is a go-to guy for Diablo 3 commentary. But it seems to me like he maybe thought, this is how I can get some news by, saying some sort of controversial stuff.
It's true.
And it worked.
Yeah. But Rush was speaking to, as you said that he was at Gamescom last week. Rush was speaking to Max last week, and he was saying, that he keeps in touch with a lot of the guys back at Blizzard. So he does. It's completely plausible that chatting and socializing with these guys, that he's privy to the information that the release, probably in the camp of Blizzard, is not considered to be a possibility this year. So he could. I don't think he would lie. I don't think he would think that it's on course and purposely lie. But I think he might have been told that as a sort of maybe over a pint and a bit of confidentiality. And he's kind of, oops-a-daisy, I've let it slip.
Yeah, we didn't really quote him, but Max did say that Diablo 3 will not ship in 2011 in one of the interviews.
Yeah.
He said to some German site, and we got a reader send us a nice translation of that. So it wasn't like he just, but we don't know the context. As you point out, we don't know the context of how he heard that. And we also don't know the context of how it was said. The interview might have been, so Diablo 3 this year? Matt said, oh, it's Blizzard. They're never going to make it this year. He could have been, which is not, really going out on a limb. Blizzard is relatively well known for not hitting release dates, including on the projects Max worked on when he was at Blizzard.
Yeah. Yeah,
so we don't know. We don't know if he was just joking or if he just was very serious. Oh no, it's not going to be out this year. I know that for a fact. We don't have a recording of it, so.
Screenshot or it didn't happen.
Yeah, recording or it didn't happen. And a couple of last little bits about site news. We have a new feature on the main page, and it's got numbers, and they click, and they click, and they click, and I find myself staring at them. What are they telling me?
TikTok, it's D-Day. We've picked the last date in the third quarter, the last day of September, and we've put the counter up to count down to that day, being the last day that the beta can begin, according to Blizzard's last predictions of when the beta will start.
And it's counting down days, hours, minutes, and seconds.
Seconds, because that's how eager we are.
And even though I know it's a counter that we have on this website, and I can look at a calendar and see the same information, I still find myself staring at it. It's like, ooh, I just noticed earlier it was 35 days and like 1 hour and something. I'm like, and only an hour, it'll only be 34 days. I was like, it's getting close, deadline. And I want to click it. Can we put like a secret chat gem on there of some kind? So when you click it, it changes colors.
There may well be a secret link on a 1 pixel image somewhere around that counter that links to something very special, or there may not be.
that was a very chat gem-esque comment. It's working better than expected. So our readers should run their mouse over it as carefully as they would a new leaked photo of a celebrity.
Yeah.
A nude photo of a celebrity, I should say. Just in case there's a secret pixel there somewhere. Maybe you'll find something secret. And we have one other new site feature you wanted to mention, or upcoming site feature.
Yeah, the blue tracker should be back on.
And what does the blue tracker do, Ellie, for our listeners?
It tracks all the blue's utterances.
That's a forum post by Blizzard on Battle.net, yes?
Yeah, and the Twitter. You can get all the tweets on there as well.
And people can access that from a sidebar on the right-hand side of the top of our page.
If you go to the site, theblues.incgamers.com, you can get instant alerts. So as soon as a blue post goes up, you get an email alert. And you can set that by forum, or you can have it collate all the posts from that day and send you an end-of-day report of all the different posts.
And we pretty much always news up any posts that are worth reading. So I mean, obviously
Yeah.
we cover that as well, and it's not. I'm actually quite looking forward to the spider's return because I don't want to have to go surf through all the forums trying to find them manually.
Mm.
It's very nice if it automates that process for me.
Yeah. So that's back up online, bringing all the brand new forum posts from the new forums. Sorry. Ah,
That's good. That was good enough. Okay, I think that's all the topics we had, Ellie. Did we miss anything?
nope.
Okay, you've been listening to the Diablo podcast, and we are at diablopodcast.com, and we'll be back next week, Ellie and myself, talking about the news attack, and probably one before then with some big weekend feature content discussion of something new and exciting. Maybe those rune videos.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
Bye.